hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened, an acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and you'd be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, is that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a powerful piece that our great editor, Darren McBreen, put together for the radio show. And he's /TV show if you're a TV viewer on prisonplanet.tv. And Darren's working on some amazing intros for the new TV nightly news when we launched in the new studio. Could have done it weeks ago, but we're just busy tweaking a lot of other things around the office and working on some big guests and reporters and things like that. But you just saw that piece dealing with false flags and how government staged things. It must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Will you guys put it on screen so I can give folks the name? 4 or 5 years ago that a video was produced, I guess back in 2009, January 13th, 2009, by Thought Crime 7, 9/11 Lessons from Star Trek. And I think it's important to re-air this like I did 5 years ago again today because it's back in the news. DHS gave Muslim Brotherhood VIP treatment, no TSA pat-downs at airports all over the United States. It's the same thing for globalists, the same thing with diplomatic immunity. Obama is becoming a dictator, and he clearly is supercharging. There's always been a secret relationship and a dirty relationship and a public relationship as well with radical Islam, especially Wahhabist, Sunni extremists out of Saudi Arabia, that the globalists use as a secret army. That's even on PBS. But now they're really turning them loose everywhere. And I've been in London before, back in 2005, on the street filming a building, and had folks in the Muslim full gear come over and scream at me and say, how dare you film? Are you filming me? When I wasn't even filming them. And as soon as I bowed up, they backed off. The average Brit would literally just bow down. And so the fact that the West has been culturally neutered, the establishment is radicalizing Islam, bringing it in, protecting it, and then using it for political correctness clashes to then restrict free speech across the board while they put extremist Muslims on British television calling for the murder of Christians. That is allowed in England, on record. But if you're Michael Savage and you want to come to town and speak, you're banned. I am not what you call an Islamophobe that blames everything on Muslims. A lot of great Muslims out there. I've defended Muslims being blamed completely for 9/11 and the pretext to invade Iraq on the back of what al-Qaeda was involved with shadowy elements of the CIA. And the media knew that was a sophisticated statement, so they just spun it that I was saying that, you know, the government did all of 9/11. No, criminal elements working with radical Islam did to kick off this clash of civilizations that gives radical Islam power to be facing off against the American superpower. That has tripled the size of al-Qaeda forces and other Islamicists. Many think tanks have said it's energized them the last 12 years. They understand psychology. That's why these globalists are in control. So I'll describe this for radio listeners. They wonder why everybody's fighting on board the ship, the Klingons and the Earthlings. Something is turning them against them, and there's this little energy field creature that feeds off conflict, that feeds off divide and conquer. So it's a good allegory. Since you can't see the video, if you're not watching on PrisonPlanet.tv, you can hear it. So Captain Kirk's talking to the little energy ball that's floating around. It's usually invisible, manipulating people's emotions to feed off of it. Well, the globalists don't really feed off the emotions, even though psychopaths and others do, actually, at a subconscious level, a psychological level. It actually feeds off the energy in this allegory. The globalists just feed off the energy by directing it into getting us to do what they want to control and run society. We're going to play this piece and then go to Catherine in Canada, who wants to talk about Saudi investments in U.S. terror. Sheepdog, Ryan, Romaine, and Kyle. We're going to get to everybody here today, and I've opened phones in the third hour as well. But here is this piece, and again, if you're a radio listener, we'll put it back on screen for folks so I can tell radio listeners out there. You can just go to YouTube if you want to see this piece and type in 9/11 lessons from Star Trek, and I'm going to ask Kurt Nimmo, or one of the great writer crew posters in there, to repost this right now, tying it into how false flags are used. So let's go ahead and go to 9/11 lessons from Star Trek, how balkanization, divide and conquer, race pimping, you name it, works.
Captain's log, stardate, Armageddon.
The Klingons were too far distant to have been the attackers.
What proof do we need? We know what a Klingon is.
Helm dead.
Controls have gone crazy. Something's taken over.
Most interesting. The bulk of your crew trapped. Your ship racing from this galaxy at wild speeds. How did I perform this sabotage, Kirk? All my men are here.
Do you think some people in a cave were able to have NORAD stand down? Do you think that people in a cave were able to have all of this happen?
A phantom colony, imaginary distress calls, the creation of these weapons.
We will in fact find weapons.
Do you sense a pattern, Mr. Spock?
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
There is an alien on board which may have created this situation.
Who cares what started it, Mr. Spock?
It is apparently capable of manipulating matter and mind.
I think we should just trust our president in every decision that he makes.
This is war! There isn't any war! You serious? I've got men in sickbay. Some of them dying. Atrocities committed on their persons. You talk about making peace with these fiends.
The alien is the real threat. That's the enemy we have to wipe out.
Has a war been staged for us, complete with weapons and ideology and patriotic drumbeating? He used gas? But where did he get the gas? From us.
Recent events would seem to be directed toward a magnification of the basic hostilities.
And here is that agenda. The project for the new American century.
Much of what these men wanted is coming true. They urged that the U.S. abandon the anti-ballistic missile treaty. It has.
They wanted establishment of more permanent U.S. military bases abroad. That is happening in the Philippines and in Georgia and will likely happen in Iraq. They urged regime change as a goal of foreign wars, not just in Iraq. They wanted the U.S. as a global constabulary, their word. Such aspirations are unlikely to be realized without a catastrophic and catalyzing event, like a new Pearl Harbor.
Apparently, it is by design that we fight. We seem to be pawns.
But what's the game?
It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
We must push outward if we are to survive.
The Constitution has not given permission for us to so-called police the world.
We have always fought.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
As you've been listening to propaganda.
Shut up.
There's another way to survive. Mutual trust and help.
We ought to stay at home, mind our own business, trade with people, and be friends with people, and we all would be a lot better off.
There's an alien entity aboard the ship. It's forcing us to fight. We don't want to. We don't know what its motive is. We're trying to find out. You must help us.
It is most urgent that we locate the alien entity immediately.
The Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
Now do you believe? What is it you want? What are you doing here?
Kill the Klingons! It's never us, isn't it? Done!
When the lieutenant became unconscious, the alien lost energy.
It subsists on the emotions of others.
This one appears to be strengthened by mental radiations of hostility, violent intentions.
It exists on the hate of others.
To put it simply. And it has acted as a catalyst, creating this situation. In order to satisfy that need, it has brought together opposing forces in an effort to promote the most violent mode of conflict.
We've got to get rid of it.
Then all hostile attitudes on board must be eliminated. The fighting must end, and soon.
Or we're a doomed ship. We've got to pool our knowledge. We must find a way to defeat the alien force of hate, stop the war now, or spend eternity in futile, bloody violence.
It has to stop.
Look, gang, for the rest of our lives, 1,000 lifetimes, senseless violence, fighting, while an alien has total control over us. And it goes on and on, the good old game of war, pawn against pawn, stopping the bad guys. While somewhere, some thing sits back and laughs and starts it all over again.
He is telling the truth.
Be a pawn. Be a toy. Be a good soldier that never questions orders. This is Captain Kirk. A truce is ordered. The fighting is over. Lay down your weapons.
This is Kang. Cease hostilities. The cessation of violence appears to have weakened it, Captain. I suggest that good spirits might make an effective weapon.
Get off my ship. You're a dead duck here. You're powerless. We know about you. And we don't want to play. Maybe there are others like you around. Maybe you've caused a lot of suffering, a lot of history, but that's all over. We'll be on guard now. We'll be ready for you. So ship out.
Only a fool fights in a burning house.
Out!